The Toronto Raptors dodged a major bullet this offseason, and it is becoming more and more clear every single day that this season goes along. As Gary Trent Jr., reports came out saying that he wanted a massive contract from the Toronto Raptors, and he's really been struggling with the Milwaukee Bucks, and in his absence, he opened up an opportunity for guys like Ochai, Agbaji, and Gradey Dick to really come into their own as basketball players, and frankly, are looking dominant out there on the court. So this is not a Gary Trent Jr. hate piece, but we're breaking down what the Toronto Raptors missed on in terms of Gary Trent Jr.'s contract. I mean some of my words, because I was disappointed when Gary Trent Jr. left at such a small contract, and we'll break down just how the Raptors have really been able to unlock some of these guys with Gary Trent Jr.'s absence. So lots of stuff to break down in this video, but before we do, folks, again, I just want to thank everyone that's been hitting the like button, commented. A lot of positive vibes happening around the channel, in the comment section, around this Raptors team. So keep hitting that like button. It helps the videos out a ton. I just want to appreciate every single one of you guys and give you all a shout out at the start of this vid. But let's dive into what's going on. Let's dive into this discussion, because this has been brought up a ton over the past couple of days, particularly with Gary Trent Jr. really struggling for the Milwaukee Bucks over the past couple of weeks. The Milwaukee Bucks themselves have been losing a ton of games, have really just been hurting in terms of getting wins, trying to get some W's out there on that squad. Had a brutal loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, despite Giannis and Damian Lillard going off. But Gary Trent Jr. specifically in that one really struggled. And we could take a look at the, specific stats in terms of his game log. And last night against the Cleveland Cavaliers, big game, a crucial game that Giannis and Dame and all those guys played really well in. He went 1 of 10 from the field, 1 of 7 from the 3-point line, and had 3 points, 3 turnovers, and just a poor performance out there in 34 minutes of action for Gary Trent Jr. And again, Gary Trent Jr. had so much potential, had so much promise when he was acquired by this Raptors team, and still is a pretty young player out there in the NBA. I mean, we could take a look at his stats in terms of what he's doing this season, right? He's still only 25-ish years old, going to be 26 soon, but 6'5". Like, Gary Trent Jr.'s numbers have fallen off a cliff from even where they were just a couple seasons ago, because this Gary Trent Jr. has been a trajectory. A couple seasons ago, Gary was averaging close to 17, 18 points per game. When he was a starter, when he had more minutes, right? When he had more opportunities, he was playing even better. But now, in a small sample size to be sure, but to start off this season in a Milwaukee Bucks rotation where he is given a ton of opportunities to be able to play off guys like Damian Lillard, like Giannis Antetokounmpo, only averaging 9 points per game, 1.5 rebounds, 1 assist per night, and the three-point percentage has really fallen off a cliff, 25% from the three-point line, and it's getting easier shots, right? Like, again, 100% of Gary Trent Jr.'s three-pointers are assisted this season. Last season, we saw a lot of Gary having to create his own looks, create his own shots, out here on this Raptors group, and the percentages have gone down here now. Now, I want to say, this is not, again, a hit piece on Gary Trent Jr. This is just the reality of what's happening. I think he'll bounce back. I think he'll be better. Again, the defense didn't take the leaps and bounds that I was hoping for during his Raptors career, but we did see flashes of it. I'm sure Gary Trent Jr. is going to be able to turn things around and get things rolling. But the way that the Toronto Raptors dodged a bullet, whatever you want to say about this offseason, there were some crazy asks about Gary Trent Jr. during the offseason. Essentially, Toronto initially offered Gary Trent Jr. a contract worth $15 million annually, but Clutch Sports declined that deal, and it has since been pulled. Obviously, in the offseason, the Raptors didn't offer it to him. So basically, the Raptors are willing to bring back Gary at $15 million per year, but Clutch Sports wanted to raise from his $18.5 million salary from last season. They're looking at an offer in the $25 million range, a gap of $10 million in contract negotiation. So that's a large large sign that one side is clearly misreading the market. And clearly, Gary Trent Jr. ended up getting his short end of the stick. He ended up having to sign for the Milwaukee Bucks on a minimum and took that contract to essentially have a breakout season. He went to the team, because a lot of teams would have picked up Gary Trent Jr. on that minimum contract. And, he just really thought there was a good opportunity there with the Milwaukee Bucks, which there is, certainly is, but he hasn't been able to take advantage of it just yet. He has a crucial role on a team that desperately needs some depth, that does have some star talent players. Obviously, Dame hasn't been the same Damian Lillard we saw in seasons past, but holy smokes, this has just been a tough situation for Gary Trent Jr. And frankly, that price, right, in its own right, the Raptors dodged a bullet, but really where the Raptors dodged their biggest bullet is the minutes that Gary Trent Jr. would have taken up. Now, this is the argument that I got into with, not argument, but debates that happened in the comment sections and stuff, in my videos in the comment section, because some of you guys were saying, hey, Gary Trent Jr. walking for nothing is actually a positive for this team, because other guys, Gradey Dick specifically, will get more minutes, get more run, get more opportunity. And I said, yes, that's definitely a positive, but Gary Trent Jr. at 1 point whatever million he got, the league minimum salary, you still just bring him back if you had that opportunity. Heck, even like a $10 million contract, you bring him back if you had that opportunity to get that steal of a contract for Gary Trent Jr. And I still think he's a valuable piece. I think he'll bounce back. But in his absence, the Raptors would have, if he was on this team, we would have missed out on one, RJ Barrett, who's on the wing for the Toronto Raptors. He would have got less touches, less run in his natural position. He's averaging 29 points per game this season, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, shooting 46 from the three-point line and 67% on corner threes. Right? Him and Gary Trent Jr. were kind of in comparison for minutes, for run, for opportunities last year, and this is a staggering difference in regards to statistics for this season. They're getting similar runs, similar opportunities. Obviously, RJ Barrett's more of a focal point in the offense, but Gary Trent Jr. is getting more open looks, more clean looks, and that's that with RJ Barrett. But the more interesting sort of comparisons, obviously, is the guy that stepped up directly in Gary Trent Jr.'s role, is that's Gradey Dick. And to start off this year, Gradey Dick, who's also 5 years younger, is averaging 21 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, playing a lot better defense, attacking the rim at just an elite rate, and still shooting 37% on shooting roughly I think it's 7 or 8 3-pointers per night. His open ones, he's knocking down, he's shooting a high volume, and frankly, with all the injuries that this team has had, Gradey Dick is getting much more tougher looks, tougher shooting opportunities than Gary Trent Jr., and he's remarkably more efficient. You can directly compare them here now at this point, right? He is more efficient and taking tougher shots, finishing around the basket, and that's one thing to be said. And I also want to bring up Ochai Agbaji, because definitely with Gary, all these types of players' names sound similar, but with Gary Trent Jr. in the lineup, Ochai Agbaji would not have nearly as amount of opportunities and run for this team. And this season, he's averaging 13 points per game, 5 rebounds, 1.7 assists. We know the defense is on another level compared to Gary Trent Jr. Gary has that potential, but hasn't been able to do it on every single night. But Ochai Agbaji is shooting 46% from the three-point line and shooting 63% on corner threes. Right? In terms of three-point shooting, the thing that Gary Trent Jr. would certainly have in regards to a debate, at least in the offseason over Ochai Agbaji, right? The percentages are just on a completely different level. And again, this is a small sample size. This is not indicative of what's going to happen the entire season. We know Gary Trent Jr. can absolutely catch fire from three-point shots, but is in an inconsistent stretch right now, and we're seeing it when he's been handed on a silver platter the golden opportunity in terms of basketball opportunities out there on the court for the Milwaukee Bucks. So, again, the Raptors not paying Gary Trent Jr. $25 million, that's a dodge. $15 million is a dodge. Even, at the price, just having him take up a roster spot out here on this team and, taking minutes away from even a Jakob Poeltl, who hasn't played too much yet this season, still getting his legs underneath him, recovering from injury. But the minutes that he would have taken away from RJ Barrett, from Gradey Dick, from Ochai Agbaji, from the wings that this team has, even a Jamal Shed, right? All of those minutes would have been cut down with Gary Trent Jr. on this roster. So even with him walking for a very reasonable price, it's a price that would have been nice to the Raptors. I'll eat my words. It ended up being a win. It ended up being a win for the Toronto Raptors. I thought it wouldn't have been, when it actually happened at the, over the course of the summer. But I'll eat my crow. I'll do it. I'm still a fan of Gary Trent Jr. I'm sure he'll bounce back. But, it's looking good for the Toronto Raptors, at least how this offseason was managed by Masai Ujiri. Again, because there was a lot of question marks about Masai. He's getting a lot of, head turns, what's going on? But this is looking like a W stretch of moves from Masai Ujiri over the course of this offseason. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you guys think about the Gary Trent Jr. walking, here now at this point? You guys are the best. I'm signing out.